Felthani stared at the display screen with all four of his eyes. The blue light made his gray skin look sick. He had been working on galactic maps for 30 years, but he had never seen anything like this before. The screen showed a big, empty space where stars should be. It was not black like empty space. It was full of moving lines and colors that hurt to look at. The computer kept making warning sounds every few seconds. "Computer, run scan again," Felthani said in his deep voice. The same result came back. Static. Nothing but static where the human worlds were supposed to be. Felthani touched his communication device. "Captain Zorth, please come to the map room. We have a problem." Captain Zorth was a tall alien with 6 arms and green skin. He walked into the room and looked at the screen. His mouth fell open. "How long has it been like this?" Zorth asked. 3 days now. Every time we try to scan human space, we get this mess. I cannot make a proper map of that area at all. Zorth walked closer to the screen. The static seemed to move faster when he got near it. "Have you tried different types of scans?" "Yes, Captain. Radio scans, light scans, gravity scans, even quantum scans. Nothing works. It is like that whole area of space does not want to be mapped." Far away from the mapping ship, Captain Tae-min was having his morning coffee on the bridge of his ship. The Soul's Pride was not a big ship, but it was fast and comfortable. Tae-min liked his job as a trade captain. He got to see new places and meet different alien races. "Captain, we are getting close to Kepler's 7th station," said his pilot, a young woman named Jiwoo. "Good. Set us up for docking. I want to finish this trade deal quickly." Kepler 7 was a neutral station where humans and aliens could meet safely. It looked like a big wheel spinning slowly in space. Lights twinkled on its surface like stars. Tae-min walked through the station's corridors after his ship docked. The air smelled different here. It was cleaner than human air but had a metallic taste. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked past him. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Others had scales or fur. Tae-min had gotten used to it over the years. He found the trade office where Administrator Hyunwoo was waiting. Hyunwoo was one of the few humans who lived on the station full-time. He had been there for 5 years. "Tae-min, good to see you again," Hyunwoo said with a smile. "How was the trip from Earth?" "Not bad. 3 weeks in hyperspace. The usual." Tae-min sat down in the chair across from Hyunwoo's desk. "So what do we have for trade today?" "The Vorthak want to buy more human electronics. They love our computers for some reason, and the Kalani have rare metals to trade. They talked about prices and shipping for an hour." When they finished, Tae-min leaned back in his chair. "You know, I have been wondering about something. I have been to many alien worlds, but I have never met an alien who has been to human space." Hyunwoo's smile faded a little. "What do you mean?" "I mean, we visit their worlds all the time. We have maps of their space. But they never seem to visit our worlds. Do they even have maps of human space?" Hyunwoo looked uncomfortable. He looked around the room even though they were alone. "That is a good question. I never really thought about it. Maybe we should ask some of the alien traders. I am curious now." They walked to the main trading hall. It was a big room with a high ceiling. Aliens and humans were making deals at tables all around the room. The sound of many different languages filled the air. Tae-min saw a group of Kalani traders at a nearby table. The Kalani looked like tall birds with 4 arms. Their feathers were bright blue and green. "Excuse me," Tae-min said to their leader. "I am Captain Tae-min. I have a question." The Kalani leader turned to him. Her voice sounded like singing. "Yes, human captain. Do you have maps of human space? I mean, detailed maps of our solar systems?" The singing stopped. The Kalani leader looked at the other Kalani. They made quick sounds in their own language. When she turned back to Tae-min, she did not look happy. "We do not map human space," she said quickly. "It is not necessary for trade." "But surely your government has some maps for navigation?" The Kalani stood up fast. "We must go now. Goodbye, human captain." They left quickly, their feathers ruffling with worry. Taemin looked at Hyunwoo. That was strange. Maybe they were just busy, Hyunwoo said, but he did not sound sure. They tried asking other alien groups. The Vorthak, who looked like walking rocks, gave the same answer. We do not map human space. The Zilani, with their octopus-like arms, just shook their heads and walked away when asked. Back on Earth, Dr. So-young was having problems of her own. She worked at the Human Space Research Center in Seoul. Her job was to study how humans and aliens got along. She was looking at galactic navigation charts when she noticed something odd. Every major alien civilization had detailed maps of each other's territory. The Kalani had maps of Vorthak space. The Vorthak had maps of Zilani worlds. Everyone seemed to know where everyone else lived. Everyone except humans. So-young pulled up chart after chart on her computer. Human space was always shown as a simple circle with human territory written inside it. No details, no star systems marked, no trade routes shown. This cannot be right, she said to herself. She called her friend Dr. Jae-ho, who worked in the alien language department. Jae-ho, can you come look at something? I found something weird in the galactic charts. Jae-ho arrived 20 minutes later. He was a thin man with glasses who always looked worried about something. Today he looked more worried than usual. What did you find? He asked. So-young showed him the charts on her computer screen. Look at this. Every alien race has detailed maps of each other's space. But look at how they show human territory. Jae-ho studied the screen. It is very simple, too simple. Where are all the details? That is what I thought. I checked 20 different sources. They all show the same thing. A basic circle with no information inside. Maybe they just do not want to share detailed information with us. But they share detailed maps with each other. Look. So-young showed him a chart made by the Kalani that showed Vorthak territory in great detail. They know exactly where every Vorthak colony is located. Jae-ho sat down hard in a chair. So why do they not have details about human space? I think, So-young said, slowly, they cannot map our space. Something is stopping them. Meanwhile, back on Kepler 7 station, Taemin was not giving up. He found the station's information center and asked to speak with the head librarian. The librarian was a Vorthak named Kothvel. His rock-like skin was dark gray, and his voice sounded like grinding stone. I need information about mapping regulations, Taemin said. What kind of mapping? Kothvel asked. I want to know why alien civilizations do not have detailed maps of human space. Kothvel went very still. His stone face could not show expressions, but his voice changed. That information is restricted. Restricted? What do you mean? Mapping. Operations in certain areas require special clearance. Very special clearance. What kind of areas? Kothvel was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was very soft. Dangerous areas. Areas where mapping crews do not always come back. Taemin felt cold suddenly. Are you saying human space is dangerous to map? I am saying that some questions are better left unasked, human captain. That night Taemin could not sleep. He kept thinking about what Kothvel had said. He sent a message to Earth Central Command asking for permission to investigate. The message was simple. Request permission to investigate why alien races cannot or will not map human territory. Believe this may be important for human security. The answer came back 6 hours later. It was also simple. Permission granted. Investigate with caution. Report findings immediately. On his ship the next morning, Taemin called his crew together. We are going to try something different. Instead of going back to Earth, we are going to visit the edge of human space and see what we can find. What are we looking for, Captain? Asked Jiwoo. I am not sure yet. But I think we are about to learn something important about why the galaxy refuses to map human space. And I have a feeling we are not going to like what
we find.
Dr. So-young could not get the mapping problem out of her head. She had been thinking about it for 3 days now. On her way to work, she stopped by Dr. Jae-ho's office in the language building. I need your help, she said, when he opened the doors. I want to listen to alien communications. Maybe we can learn something. Jae-ho looked around his messy office. Books and papers were everywhere. What kind of communications? Any communications about mapping or survey work. Maybe aliens talk about human space when they think we are not listening. That could take a long time to find. Do you have any idea where to start? So Young pulled out her tablet. I found something yesterday. There is a communication relay station on the edge of human space. It picks up signals from alien ships passing by. Most of it is just normal radio chatter, but maybe there is something useful. They spent the morning setting up equipment in Jae-ho's office. Jae-ho had special computers that could translate many alien languages. The room soon filled with the sound of alien voices speaking in clicks, whistles, and growls. Most of the messages were boring. Shipping schedules, weather reports from alien worlds, complaints about the price of fuel. Then they heard something different. Wait, Jae-ho said, stopping the recording. Play that part again. It was two Kalani voices talking to each other. Their singing language sounded worried and fast. Jae-ho listened carefully and typed notes on his computer. They are talking about a survey mission. Someone named Velthani tried to map an area near human space. What did they find? Listen to this part. Jae-ho played a few seconds of the recording. The Kalani voices sounded scared. They are talking about screaming. Jae-ho said quietly. Screaming? What kind of screaming? They say the space itself was screaming. That does not make sense. Space cannot scream. So Young felt a chill. What else do they say? Jae-ho played more of the recording. They mention something about reality tears and impossible shapes that hurt to look at. Keep looking. There might be more. They found another recording an hour later. This one was in the Vorthak language, which sounded like rocks falling down a mountain. This is a report from a survey ship, Jae-ho translated. They tried to make a detailed map of a solar system near human territory, but their equipment kept breaking. The captain says the space around human worlds makes their instruments go crazy. How crazy? He says their gravity detectors showed gravity going in circles. Their time-measuring devices started running backward. One crew member aged 10 years in 10 minutes, then went back to normal. So Young sat down hard. That is impossible. That is what they thought too. But listen to this. Jae-ho played the last part of the message. Even without understanding the words, So Young could hear the fear in the alien's voice. The captain says they saw stars that were not there. Empty. Space that looked solid. And he mentions something he calls void wounds. Void wounds? Places where space looks broken, like cracks in reality itself. Meanwhile, Captain Tae-min was having his own strange experiences. The Soul's Pride had reached the edge of human space and was now flying toward an area marked on human charts as Sector 7G. It was supposed to be empty space with a few small planets, but his instruments were acting strange. Captain, called Ji-woo from the pilot's seat. Our navigation system keeps changing the numbers. It says we are in 3 different places at the same time. Taemin looked at his own screens. The gravity sensors showed readings that made no sense. According to the instruments, they were flying through an area where gravity pointed up, down, and sideways all at once. Run a diagnostic on all systems, he ordered. Already did, sir. All systems check out fine. It is like the space around us is the problem, not our ship. They flew deeper into the sector. That is when they found the derelict ship. It was huge and shaped like a crystal, clearly alien design. But it was not moving. No lights. No power signatures. It just hung in space like a dead thing. Life signs? Taemin asked. None, Captain. But the ship looks intact. No damage that I can see. Take us closer. Carefully. As they got nearer, Taemin could see writing on the side of the alien ship. It was in several languages, including one he recognized as Kalani script. The ship's name is Zentharian Explorer, Ji-woo said, reading from her translation computer. Any idea what race built it? According to our database, it belongs to the Galactic Survey Guild. That is the organization that makes official maps for most alien governments. Taemin felt excited and nervous at the same time. A survey ship, perfect. Send a message to the ship asking for permission to come aboard. They waited 5 minutes. No answer. The ship is definitely dead, Captain. No power at all. Then we go aboard and see what we can find. Get the boarding equipment ready. An hour later, Taemin and 2 crew members were floating through the dead alien ship. Their helmet lights cut through the darkness. The ship was built for creatures much taller than humans, so everything looked huge. They found the bridge after 20 minutes of searching. It was a round room with strange control panels and chairs that looked like they were made for creatures with tentacles. Look for the ship's log, Taemin said. Any recording device. Crew member Sung Ho found a crystal device that glowed when he touched it. Words appeared in the air above it, written in alien script. Can you read any of this? Taemin asked Ji-woo, who had come aboard with them. Some of it. My translator is working on the rest. She studied the floating words. This is the final log entry. It is dated 3 months ago. What does it say? Ji-woo read slowly as her computer translated. Survey Chief Kothvar reporting. Mission to map Sol system and surrounding areas has failed. Crew experiencing severe psychological trauma. 3. Crew members have been hospitalized with reality dissociation syndrome. Reality dissociation syndrome? Keep reading, Taemin said. The space around human worlds is not normal space. Our instruments detect spatial anomalies that should not exist. Time flows differently in some areas. Gravity behaves in impossible ways. Worst of all, space itself seems to resist our attempts to measure it. Ji-woo paused and looked at Taemin. Captain, this is getting really strange. Keep going. The humans do not know what they have done to space itself. Every time they use their faster-than-light engines, they damage the fabric of reality. The damage spreads. We have detected at least 47 areas where the basic laws of physics no longer function properly. Taemin felt sick. What else? Personal note. I have been mapping space for 30 years. I have seen black holes and neutron stars and quantum storms. But nothing has ever scared me like human space does. The very fabric of reality screams when we try to measure it. We are abandoning this mission before the damage spreads to our home worlds. They stood in silence for a long time. There is more, Ji-woo said quietly. One last entry. It says, we have sent a message to the Galactic Council, warning them about the human problem. If something is not done soon, the reality damage may spread beyond human space. The galaxy may need to take action to protect itself from humanity. Back on Earth, Commander Minho was having a bad day at Space Defense Command. He had been trying to access old files about humanity's first faster-than-light experiments. But every time he tried to open the files, his computer told him he did not have permission. That is ridiculous, he said to his assistant, Lieutenant Gi-jun. I have the highest security clearance in the military. Maybe the files are damaged, sir? No. The computer specifically says the files are sealed for galactic security reasons. What does that even mean? We do not have galactic security classifications. Minho tried a different approach. He called his friend Colonel Woo Jin, who worked in the Historical Research Department. Woo Jin, I need information about the early FTL program. Who was in charge? What experiments did they do? That is classified information, Minho. Why do you need it? I am investigating some strange reports from our trade captains. They say, aliens refuse to map human space. There was a long pause. Minho, be very careful with this investigation. Some things are classified for good reasons. What do you know? I know that our FTL program had some unusual side effects. And I know that certain people in government have been very worried about those side effects for a long time. What kind of side effects? The kind that might make aliens afraid to come near human space. The kind that might threaten more than just humanity. That evening, Dr. So-young was working late in her office when her computer made a soft sound. She had a new message, but the sender was listed as unknown. The message was short. Stop looking into the void wounds before the galaxy notices what questions you are asking. Some knowledge is too dangerous to seek. So Young stared at the screen. Who had sent this? And how did they know what she was researching? She tried to trace the message, but the computer said it came from outside human space, from somewhere in alien territory. Her hands shook as she typed a reply. Who are you? What are void wounds? The answer came back immediately. Someone who knows what humans have done to space. Someone who is trying to prevent a war. Stop asking questions about mapping human space for everyone's sake. So Young looked out her office window at the stars. Somewhere out there, aliens were scared of human space. They had good reasons to be scared. And now someone was warning her to stop investigating. Dr. So Young could not sleep. The warning message kept playing in her head. She arrived at work early and went straight to the restricted archives. If someone wanted her to stop asking questions, then she needed to ask more questions. She found Dr. Jeho already there, drinking coffee and looking at old files on his computer. You could not sleep either? She asked. No. I keep thinking about those alien communications. The fear in their voices was real. He turned his screen toward her. I found something else last night. The screen showed a translation of an alien text. The words were simple but scary. This is from a Vorthak scientific journal, Jeho said. They published a study about spatial anomalies near human territory. Listen to this. Human faster-than-light travel creates tears in the fabric of space-time. Each journey damages reality in small ways. Over 47 years of human FTL use, these small damages have grown into major problems. What kind of problems? Areas where time moves backward, spaces where gravity points in impossible directions, and something they call reality storms. So Young sat down next to him. Reality storms? Places where the basic rules of physics stop working. They say these storms are spreading slowly outward from human space. How slowly? Jeho showed her a chart on his screen. According to their measurements, the damaged areas grow about 1 light-year every 10 years. At this rate, the damage will reach the nearest alien colonies in about 50 years. So Young felt cold. So we are not just hurting empty space. We are threatening alien worlds. It gets worse. They think the damage might speed up as it spreads, like cracks in glass. Meanwhile, Captain Taemin was leading an expedition to the place where humanity first tested FTL travel. The old research station was called Pioneer Base, and it had been abandoned for 20 years. Official records said it was closed because the experiments were complete, but Taemin was starting to think that was a lie. The journey to Pioneer Base took 2 days. As they got closer, his ship's instruments started acting stranger than before. The gravity detector showed readings that changed every few seconds. The radiation sensors detected energy types that should not exist. Captain, called Jiwoo from her station, I am picking up some kind of signal from the base. What kind of signal? It sounds like, screaming, but not from any living thing. It is like the space around the base is in pain. Taemin walked over to her console and listened through her headphones. The sound was awful. It was high-pitched and constant, like metal being torn apart, but somehow alive. Is the base still powered? I do not think so. This signal is not electronic. It is coming from space itself. As they got closer to Pioneer Base, they could see it through the ship's windows. It looked normal from far away. A collection of metal, buildings and laboratories floating in space. But something was wrong with the space around it. The stars behind the base looked twisted. They bent and curved in ways that hurt to look at. Some stars appeared to be in 2 places at once. Others flickered in and out of existence. My eyes hurt, said crew member Sung-ho. Mine too, Jiwoo agreed. It is like looking at something that should not be there. Taemin ordered everyone to wear protective eye gear. Even with the filters, the space around Pioneer Base looked wrong. They docked with the base carefully. The metal corridors inside were dark and cold. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows that seemed to move on their own. Life signs? Taemin asked. None. But Captain, my scanner is detecting... I do not know how to describe it. It is like there are people here who do not exist. They made their way to the main laboratory. The room was huge, filled with equipment. that Taiman did not recognize. In the center was a massive device that looked like a ring made of glowing metal. That must be the first FTL drive, Jiwoo said. Next to the device was a computer terminal that was still working. The screen showed data that scrolled by too fast to read. Taimin found a way to slow down the data. What he saw made him sick. Taoyam, computer was recording spatial measurements from around the base. The numbers showed that space itself was becoming unstable. Reality was breaking down in ways that should be impossible. Look at this, he called the others over. The computer has been recording data for 20 years, even after the base was abandoned. The data showed that the problems had started small, tiny distortions in spacetime. But over the years, they had grown bigger and more dangerous. Here, Taemin pointed to a section of the data. This shows the first reality storm. It happened 3 years after the first FTL test. What is a reality storm? Sung-ho asked. Before Taemin could answer, they heard footsteps in the corridor, outside. But that was impossible. Their sensors showed no life on the station. The footsteps got closer. Then they heard a voice. Admiral Dongwoo reporting for duty, the voice said, but it sounded strange, like it was coming from very far away. The laboratory door opened. A man in an old military uniform walked in. He looked solid and real, but Taemin's scanner showed nothing where the man was standing. You should not be here, the man said. His voice echoed strangely. This place is dangerous. Who are you? Taemin asked, though he already knew. I am Admiral Dongwoo. I was in charge of the FTL experiments. But that was a long time ago. Or maybe it was tomorrow. Time does not work right here anymore, Jiwoo whispered to Taemin. My scanner still shows no life signs, but I can see him. Admiral, Taemin said carefully. What happened here? What went wrong with the experiments? The ghostly admiral looked sad. We thought we were just folding space to travel faster. But we were actually tearing holes between realities. Every time we used the drive, we damaged the universe a little more. Are you real? I do not know anymore. I died 10 years ago, but this place keeps bringing me back. The reality storms trap pieces of time and space. I am probably just an echo. The Admiral walked over to the FTL device. Dr. Hee-jin knew what we were doing was dangerous. She tried to stop the program, but the military wanted faster ships. We thought we could control the damage. What happened to Dr. Hee-jin? She is still alive, somewhere, working on a way to fix what we broke, but it may be too late. On Earth, Commander Minho was making progress with his investigation. He had found a way to access some of the classified files by going through old military personnel records. What he found scared him. The files talked about Project Reality Shield. It was a secret program designed to hide the truth about FTL drive side effects. The project had been running for 15 years. According to the files, the government had known about the spatial damage since the early days of FTL travel. They had also known that aliens were afraid to map human space because of the reality distortions, but instead of stopping FTL travel, they had decided to keep it secret. Minho found a memo from General Kyung-soo, the head of space defense. It said, "The economic and military advantages of FTL travel outweigh the risks. We must continue expansion while working on solutions to the spatial damage problem." There was another memo from Dr. Hai-jin, the original FTL inventor. She had written, "The reality wounds are growing faster than predicted. If we do not stop using FTL drives immediately, the damage may become irreversible within 50 years. The galaxy has a right to know about the threat we have created." The next memo was from the president. Dr. Hai-jin's concerns are noted. However, stopping FTL travel would cripple human civilization. Continue research into containment solutions. That was the last official memo in the file, but there was a handwritten note attached. Dr. Hee-jin disappeared from her laboratory on March 15th. All her research has been moved to a classified location. Project Reality Shield will handle all future communication about FTL side effects. Minho realized that Dr. Hai-jin had probably been silenced to keep the truth secret. He picked up his phone and called Colonel Woo Jin. "I need to talk to you, in person, tonight." Minho, this is not safe to discuss. I know about Project Reality Shield. I know about the reality wounds. And I think Dr. Hyejin is still alive somewhere. There was a long silence. Meet me at the old observatory outside the city. Come alone. Back at Pioneer Base, Admiral Dongwu was showing Taemin around the laboratory. But as they walked, the room kept changing. Sometimes it looked normal. Other times, the walls seemed to be made of liquid metal or floating light. The reality. Storms make this place unstable, the Admiral explained. Past and future get mixed up. Sometimes I see the base as it was 20 years ago. Sometimes I see it as it will be 20 years from now. What will it be like in 20 years? The Admiral looked sad again. Gone. Consumed by the reality storm. This whole area of space will be uninhabitable. They reached another computer terminal. This one showed a map of local space. Red areas marked places where reality was breaking down. My God, Jiwoo whispered. Look how far it has spread. The red areas covered dozens of star systems, and they were growing. This is not just happening near Earth, Taemin realized. It is happening everywhere humans have traveled with FTL drives. Every human colony world is surrounded by reality damage, the Admiral confirmed. The aliens know this. That is why they will not map our space. They are afraid the damage will spread to their worlds. How long do we have? Before the galaxy decides we are too dangerous to exist? Maybe 5 years. Maybe less. The Admiral started to fade away like smoke. Find Dr. Hyejin. Admiral Inguk had been having nightmares for 3 weeks. In his dreams, the stars were screaming and space was bleeding. When Captain Taemin's message arrived at Earth Defense Command, Inguk knew the nightmares were about to become real. He called an emergency meeting with the senior staff. The conference room was full of worried faces. Everyone had heard rumors about problems with alien relations, but nobody knew how bad things really were. Ladies and gentlemen, Inguk began, we have a serious problem. Captain Taemin has discovered that our FTL technology is damaging space itself. The damage is spreading, and the galactic community knows about it. Colonel Wu Jin raised his hand. Sir, how long have we known about this? According to classified files, the government has known for 15 years. They chose to keep it secret while looking for solutions. The room erupted in angry voices. 15 years? Why were we not told? What about the colonies? Inguk held up his hand for silence. It gets worse. I received intelligence this morning that suggests the galactic community has been meeting in secret to discuss the human problem. He activated a hologram projector. A 3-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared above the table. Red areas showed zones of reality damage around human territories. This map came from alien sources. They have been tracking the spread of spatial distortions for decades. Look at the size of the affected areas. The red zones were huge. They covered not just human space, but extended far beyond human colonies into neutral territory. My God, whispered Commander Minho. We are not just threatening ourselves. We are threatening the entire galaxy. That is correct. And according to my sources, several alien governments are considering military action to stop us. Dr. So Young had spent the morning in the government archives, looking for any information about Dr. Hyejin. She finally found a personnel file that had been marked as destroyed, but still existed in the computer system. Dr. Hyejin was listed as officially dead, killed in a laboratory accident 5 years ago, but the file contained inconsistencies. The death certificate was signed by a doctor who did not exist. The accident report described equipment that was never built. Someone had created a fake death for Dr. Hyejin. So Young called Dr. Jeho. I think Dr. Hyejin is alive and working somewhere in secret. The government faked her death. Why would they do that? Because she knew how dangerous FTL travel was, and she probably threatened to tell the galaxy about it. Where do you think she is? I found references to something called Project Deep Fix in her old files. It might be a secret research program to solve the reality damage problem. That afternoon, So Young received another anonymous message. Meet me at the old Busan Observatory tonight at midnight. Come alone. It is time you learned the whole truth. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, the Galactic Emergency Council was holding its most important meeting in 100 years. Representatives from 47 different species sat in a huge chamber on the neutral world of Kepler Prime. The meeting was being led by Elder Velthani, the same alien who had first discovered the mapping problems with human space. His 4 eyes looked tired and sad. "Friends," he began, "we are here to discuss the human reality crisis. Our scientists have confirmed that human FTL technology is causing irreversible damage to the fabric of space-time." A Kalani representative stood up. Her feathers were black with stress. "Elder Velthani, our latest measurements show the reality wounds expanding at an accelerating rate. At current speed, they will reach our nearest colonies in 37 years. The Vorthak Collective has similar concerns," rumbled a rock-like delegate. "Our deep space monitoring stations have detected reality storms growing stronger each year. Some of our scientific outposts have already been evacuated." Elder Velthani activated a massive hologram that showed the entire galaxy. Red areas around, human space pulsed like infected wounds. The humans do not seem to understand what they have done. Our attempts to communicate the danger have been ignored or covered up by their governments. "What are our options?" asked a delegate from the Zilani Federation. "Our scientists have identified 3 possibilities. First, we could try to contain the damage using reality-anchored technology, but this would require cooperation from humanity, and the energy costs would be enormous. What is the second option? We could forcibly relocate all humans to a single solar system and prevent them from using FTL travel. This would stop the spread of new damage, but would not repair existing wounds." The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew what the third option was, but nobody wanted to say it. Finally, a young Kalani delegate spoke up. "The third option is military action to prevent further human FTL use." Elder Velthani nodded sadly. "Yes, complete elimination of human FTL capability, by force if necessary. Some of our military advisors believe this may be our only choice." Back on Earth, So Young drove through the night to reach Busan Observatory. The old building sat on a hill outside the city, dark against the stars. She parked her car and walked to the main door, her heart beating fast. The door was unlocked. Inside, emergency lighting cast long shadows down empty hallways. She made her way to the main telescope room, where a figure was waiting in the darkness. "Dr. So Young," said a woman's voice. "Thank you for coming." The woman stepped into the light. She was middle-aged with gray hair and tired eyes. She looked familiar from old photographs. "You are Dr. Hai Jin," So Young said. "But you are supposed to be dead. Death is a useful fiction sometimes. It allowed me to work on solutions without government interference." Dr. Hai Jin gestured for So Young to sit down. "What do you know about the reality damage?" "I know that FTL travel is tearing holes in space. I know aliens are afraid to map human territory. And I know the government has been covering this up for years." "You know the basic facts. But do you understand the scope of the problem?" "Doctor." Hijin activated a portable hologram projector. The image showed the galaxy with red zones marking reality damage. "This is current data, updated yesterday. The reality wounds now cover an area larger than the entire Kalani Empire. And they are, growing exponentially." So Young stared at the hologram. "How long before it spreads to alien worlds?" "At current rates, 20 to 30 years for the nearest colonies. But the expansion is accelerating. It could happen much sooner." "Is there a solution?" Dr. Hyat-Jin smiled sadly. "I have been working on that for 8 years. The theoretical solution exists, but implementing it would require sacrifices that humanity may not be willing to make." Meanwhile, Ambassador Yoon-ji was having the worst day of her career. She had been called to an emergency meeting with the Galactic Council leadership. The meeting was held on a neutral station in deep space far from any inhabited worlds. Elder Velthani met her at the docking bay. His usual politeness was replaced by cold formality. "Ambassador Yoon-ji, thank you for coming. We have urgent matters to discuss." They walked through corridors filled with alien delegates. Yunji had never seen so many different species in one place. The air was thick with tension and fear. The meeting room was smaller than she expected. Only the most senior representatives were present. Yunji realized this was not a normal diplomatic meeting. This was a trial. "Ambassador," Elder Velthani began, "we need to know how much the human government understands about the reality damage caused by your FTL technology." Yunji felt her heart sink. They knew everything. "I am not sure what you mean. Please do not insult our intelligence. We have been monitoring the spatial distortions around human space for 30 years. We know your FTL drives are tearing holes in reality itself." A Vorthak delegate leaned forward. "We also know your government has been aware of the problem for many years." Yunji realized that lying was pointless. "Yes, we know about the spatial effects. Our scientists are working on solutions." "What kind of solutions?" I do not have detailed information about the research programs." Elder Velthani activated a hologram showing the galaxy with red zones of damage. "Ambassador, these reality wounds threaten every living being in the galaxy. Your species has accidentally created the greatest existential threat in galactic history. We did not mean for this to happen. Intent is irrelevant. The damage spreads every day. Soon it will reach inhabited worlds. Entire civilizations may be destroyed by the reality storms." A Kalani delegate stood up, her feathers ruffling with anger. "Some of our colonies have already detected spatial anomalies approaching their systems. We may need to evacuate millions of people because of what humans have done." Yunji felt sick. "What do you want from us?" "We want an immediate halt to all human FTL travel. We want full cooperation with galactic containment efforts. And we want guarantees that humanity will accept responsibility for the damage you have caused." "And if we refuse?" The room fell silent. Finally, Elder Velthani spoke in a voice like winter wind. "Then the galaxy will be forced to protect itself from humanity, by any means necessary." That night, emergency meetings were happening all over Earth. Government officials, military leaders, and scientists worked through the night, trying to understand how bad the situation really was. Research Director Wu Jin had access to the most complete data about the reality damage. The numbers were terrifying. Human FTL travel had created over 300 major reality wounds and thousands of smaller distortions. President Park Ji-hoon stared at the holographic display showing the galaxy, with red wounds spreading like cancer around human space. The cabinet meeting had been going on for 6 hours, and every piece of news was worse than the last. "So let me understand this correctly," the president said slowly. "Our FTL technology has been damaging reality itself for 47 years. The damage is spreading toward alien worlds, and the galaxy is considering military action against us." "That is correct, sir," Admiral Inguk replied. "We have maybe months before they decide we are too dangerous to exist." Defense Minister Kyung-soo spoke up. "What about our military? Can we defend ourselves if they attack? Against the combined forces of 47 alien civilizations?" "No, sir. We would be completely outmatched." The president looked around the room at the worried faces of his advisors. "What are our options?" Dr. So Young, who had been brought in as an expert on alien relations, cleared her throat. "Sir, I believe we have 3 choices. We can try to negotiate a solution. We can accept whatever restrictions the galaxy imposes on us, or we can find a way to fix the damage we have caused. Is it possible to fix the damage?" Dr. Hai-jin believes it might be possible, but the cost would be enormous. At that moment, the conference room doors opened. An elderly woman with gray hair walked in, flanked by security guards. "Dr. Hai-jin," the president said, "I thought you were dead." "A useful fiction, Mr. President. It allowed me to work on solutions without political interference." She activated her own holographic display. "I have been developing reality healing technology for 8 years. The hologram showed complex diagrams that nobody else in the room could understand. The theory is simple," Dr. Hyojin continued. "Reality wounds can be healed by reversing the process that created them, but this requires enormous amounts of energy and precise coordination." "How much energy?" asked the Minister of Science. More than our entire civilization currently produces. We would need to build hundreds of reality healing stations throughout human space. Each station would require the power output of a small star. The room fell silent. There is another problem, Dr. Hyojin continued. The healing process must happen simultaneously across all damaged areas. If we miss any reality wounds, they will continue to spread and eventually undo all our work. How long would this take? The president asked. With unlimited resources and global cooperation? 20 years minimum, more likely 30 or 40 years. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, reality storms were beginning to manifest in areas that had never experienced spatial distortions before. The colony world of New Jeju was the first to report major problems. Colonel Sun Woo, the planetary defense coordinator, sent an urgent message to Earth. Reality storms appeared overnight. Time flows backward in some areas of the capital city. Gravity is pulling sideways in the eastern districts. We are evacuating non-essential personnel immediately. Similar reports came in from 12 other human colonies. The reality damage was no longer spreading slowly. It was exploding outward like a chain reaction. Dr. Jeho, monitoring alien communications from Earth, translated increasingly panicked messages from alien worlds near human space. The Kalani are evacuating their border colonies, he reported, to the emergency committee. The Vorthak have declared a state of emergency. 3 different species are requesting immediate military assistance from the Galactic Council. Captain Taman, now serving as humanity's special envoy to the galaxy, received a message from Elder Velthani. Captain, the situation has become critical. Reality storms have been detected approaching the Kalani system of Veltar. We can no longer wait for human solutions. The Galactic Fleet is mobilizing. Tamian immediately sent a message back. Elder Velthani, Dr. Heejin has a plan to heal the reality wounds. We request time to implement the solution. The reply came back within an hour. How much time? 20 to 40 years. Impossible. We estimate 18 months before reality storms reach inhabited alien worlds. The galaxy cannot wait 40 years. That evening, Dr. Hyojin met with President Park in private. The weight of the entire crisis seemed to rest on both their shoulders. Doctor, please tell me honestly, can we fix this in time to prevent a war? Dr. Heejin looked out the window at the Seoul skyline. Not with conventional methods. The healing process requires too much time and too many resources. Is there another way? There is one possibility. Instead of healing all the reality wounds, we could contain them. Create a barrier around the damaged areas to prevent further expansion. What would that require? Humanity would have to accept permanent isolation. We could never leave the contained area. No more expansion to new worlds. No more contact with the galaxy except through carefully controlled communication channels. The president was quiet for a long time. Would this satisfy the aliens? It would stop the immediate threat to their worlds. Whether they would accept a permanent human quarantine zone, I do not know. The next morning, President Park addressed the entire human population. The broadcast was transmitted to every human world and colony. My fellow humans, he began, I must tell you something that will change our understanding of our place in the universe. Our faster-than-light travel technology has been damaging the fabric of space itself. This damage threatens not only us, but every intelligent species in the galaxy. The reaction was immediate and intense. Protests erupted on Earth and the colonies. Some people demanded that the government abandon FTL travel immediately. Others insisted that humanity should fight, rather than accept restrictions from aliens. But on the colony world of New Seoul, something unexpected happened. As reality storms tore through the planet's atmosphere, creating impossible weather patterns and temporal distortions, the colonists did not panic. Instead, they began working together to help each other survive. Engineer Kyung-soo, who had been studying Dr. Hyojin's reality healing technology, made an important discovery. The colonists on New Seoul are not just surviving the reality storms, he reported. They are learning to work with them. What do you mean? They have figured out how to predict where the storms will appear. They are using the temporal distortions to speed up certain types of work, and they are developing new technologies that function inside damaged space. This gave Dr. So Young an idea. What if isolation is not a punishment? What if it is an opportunity? She proposed a radical solution to the crisis. Instead of trying to return space to its original condition, humanity could learn to live and work inside reality-damaged areas. They could become the galaxy's specialists in managing spatial distortions. We caused this problem, she argued at the next cabinet meeting. But we are also the only species that can safely operate inside damaged space. That gives us a unique role in the galaxy. Admiral Nguk, now serving as humanity's lead negotiator with the aliens, presented this idea to Elder Velthani. We accept permanent containment within our current borders, but in exchange, we offer our services as reality storm specialists. When other species encounter spatial distortions, we can help them. The alien response was surprising. This proposal has merit, but how can we trust humans to remain contained? Because we will build the containment barriers ourselves with galactic oversight. We will prove our commitment to protecting the galaxy. 6 months later, construction began on the largest engineering project in galactic history. Hundreds of reality anchor stations were built around the perimeter of human space. Each station was jointly operated by human and alien crews. The barriers worked. The reality storms stopped spreading beyond human territory, but something unexpected happened inside the containment zone. Human civilization, forced to adapt to damaged space, began to develop in new directions. They learned to use temporal distortions for research that would normally take centuries. They discovered new forms of energy that only existed in reality-wounded areas. Dr. So Young, now director of the Reality Research Institute, made regular reports to the Galactic Council about humanity's progress. "We have learned to live with the consequences of our mistakes," she said during one presentation. "The reality storms that once threatened the galaxy have become our laboratories. We are discovering new sciences that could benefit everyone." Elder Velthani, who had become something like a friend over the years, asked, "Do you regret what happened? Do humans wish they could return to normal space?" So Young thought for a moment before answering. "We regret the damage we caused to the galaxy. We regret the fear and suffering we created, but we have learned something important from this crisis." "What have you learned?" "We learned that sometimes breaking things is the first step toward building something better. The galaxy refused to map human space because we had made it dangerous and chaotic. Now they refuse to map it because they respect the important work we are doing inside." 10 years after the containment barriers were activated, human space had become the galaxy's center for reality research. Scientists from dozens of species came to study in the controlled reality storm environments that humans had created. Captain Taimin, now an old man, often walked through the observation decks of the barrier stations. He could see normal space on one side and the swirling, impossible colors of damaged space on the other.